Hey, what's up, rock stars? It's Rox, long time no see. Okay, coming to you today with another Insecure review. Okay, this one will be for season 4, episode 4, Low Key Losing It. So let's get to it, shall we? All right, you guys. So Issa, she's in the groove. She's promoting her block party that's coming up on Facebook. She's got a big headliner, and she's sending it out for all of her followers to see. Schoolboy Q is performing. You know, she got a little rap for it and all of that, so she's feeling pretty good. Then there's like this frantic knock at her door, and when she opens the door, it's all of her neighbors. They was all attitudinal, like, bitch, don't you know it ain't no damn water on? And Issa was like, oh yeah, that's today. I wasn't quite sure if that meant she didn't pay a bill or if they was cutting off the water to do some work in the area and she didn't let them know. But you know, they pissed. Like, you didn't tell us nothing about this. You know, we require 24 hours. We can't Airbnb our place. And she was like, you're not supposed to even be Airbnb-ing, okay? But there's a little kid there, and he was like, how old are you anyway? Child, that poor Issa can't catch a break. But we gonna need Issa to TCB, girl. Okay, you got to learn how to juggle all of these jobs that you have. Don't forget that you're still managing this place. We see Molly. Molly has her man over to the house, and Molly is working like crazy. Remember, she's working at the law firm, and she is pulling herself in a lot of different directions there. So when he gets there, you know, he's ready to be with his woman, okay? And he's all hugged up against her, and she was like, tonight I'm gonna be all yours. They immediately on the bed. He's on top of her. He's kissing her and everything, but she can't seem to get into the groove of things. He was like, you thinking about work, huh? And she was like, yeah, I just got a few things that she needs to do. You know, she'll be right back. Just let her go do that. And he was like, okay. So, you know, he was cool with it. So she goes and gets on her laptop and she does work and she's working. You can tell she looked like she'd been on there for a minute. And when she finishes and closes her laptop, it is 1:42. Okay. And then I'm imagining he didn't get over there, you know, just an hour ago. So she is just like, oh. You know, she goes and crawls in the bed, you know, Andrew, you know, are you ready? And what man is not ready? He pops to it real quick. She was like, oh, you already naked. Yeah, nigga, we was supposed to bend and did this, you know, but they always gonna hop to it. Oh, no man, you can have an attitude afterwards, but shit, they gonna still fuck, okay? Now, back at Issa's. When she gets a phone call from the printer, okay, look, I need them flyers, you know, the proofs for the flyers by 5 o'clock tonight. She was just like, okay, you know, excuse me, my assistant, you know, she ain't been helping and she, you know, been really busy around here. So she calls Condola. Condola doesn't answer the phone. So she leaves her a message, tells her, hey, I sent you those proofs for the flyers, you know, and I just need to know what you think so I can send them on to the printer. And then when she hangs up, she texts her and says, I just called you. It's so funny that people do that because it's like, we can see it. We got a missed call. We don't need a text message to say, you know what I mean? Back at Molly's job, I think Molly just really wants to make a good impression there. She still hasn't found her footing. Not really quite sure if these girls like her or not. I mean, they are all very... like snooty, like I don't know what the word is, like I'm not quite sure, but it's definitely a club that Molly is not a part of. And sometimes it almost feels like she's like the brunt of the joke, okay? And she don't even really know it. You know, they tease her because they think that she's flirting with BJ, or I'm sorry, Bennett. You know, that's what he calls himself around there them days. But while the girls are laughing and talking and teasing, one of the senior lawyers, she says, oh my God, I got to get out of here. You know, she has something that she has to do with her son. So one of the ladies says, oh, okay, well, you know what? I'll stay late. And Molly, never want to be outdone, making sure that she makes a good impression. She says that she'll stay late too. And they're like, oh, I thought you said that you was going to some listening party or something. And she's like, oh, that's okay. My man understands. Yeah, it's very difficult when you're a successful woman to try to maintain a relationship, especially when you are trying to climb. It's one thing when you are already set in that position, but when you're trying to climb the position to get there, sometimes this, you know, relationships, they become casualties. Here's another night that she is not going to be with Andrew. I said, Andrew ain't gonna be around too much for this girl. Ain't gonna be around too much for this. Another show that Molly and Issa are somehow, their friendship is off, distance that's growing between the two of them, is that whole parking lot situation. I mean, not parking lot, when they were both trying to park in the same parking space on the street, and they both get on each other's nerves really bad. I was just like, oh, we just can't get it together. I actually kind of feel sad that Molly and Issa are in this weird place. But I mean, I think I've been here with friends before in the past, and many of us can relate to how just kind of every little thing about them kind of gets on your nerves when you guys are in this weird space. So anyway, they're going over to Tiffany's house. It's very coincidental. Lawrence is already over there talking to Derek. Okay, they're in the baby's nursery. And, Lawrence is a little nervous, doesn't really know what to do with the baby, wants to hold her, but he just dropped his burrito. And Derek was like, hell no, nigga, you ain't holding my baby. But we find out that Derek was not really on board about having this baby, which we already knew. But now that the baby is here, it's just sort of like you just kind of have to deal with it. So it was interesting that, I mean, he's talking to his friend, obviously. He's not talking to just anybody, but he's just saying how they weren't ready, and they still had some living to do. They wanted to do some traveling, maybe not necessarily financially 100% ready, but you're never really ready for a baby, okay? Even when you plan it, it's things that you just don't know that you're not going to be able to do no more, or you might get put on the back burner until you kind of get, you got a brand new baby there. So he's just telling Lawrence that, yeah, this is not really what the plan was, okay? And I think that that's going to bring some strife with him and Tiffany, but they've already had their strife anyways. I'm not quite sure where Tiffany and Derek is even standing in their relationship. But so that's going on in the nursery. At the same time, Issa and Molly, they're getting there. And they sit down with Tiffany, and Tiffany feels ugly, and you know how superficial she is. So this is a different place for her. She is saying how she's so glad that she got Kelly and Molly and Issa, because her other girlfriends, like, them bitches are so, just worried about how they look all the time. Like, can you imagine? And, they're all like, yeah, no. Tiffany has checked herself out of that club, and now she's over here with the real girls, I guess. So more conversation about real friends and people being there for you. And Molly makes this observation and says, that's why she's so glad she has Andrew, because her man is always there for her. He always listens anytime she's going through anything. And Issa was like, okay, Jada over there with the red table talk, I guess you got a whole lot to say. And Molly was like, excuse me, I was just saying. And then Issa was like, oh, Molly, I was just playing. But she wasn't really just playing. It was a little bit of a jab, but it makes it weird. But of course, I don't know if Tiffany or Kelly even picked up on it. But anyway, Tiffany and Molly walk out of the room, and it's just Kelly and Issa there. What's interesting, what have they changed about Kelly? Have you guys noticed that they've changed Kelly in a way, her character? She's always been funny, and she is still funny. But Kelly has become what is the word that I want to say? She's the comedy relief, yes, but she also is like her character is not, like, they've taken some dimension out of her character and just kind of made her just be the funny, we don't get the deep parts of Kelly anymore. And I think it's interesting that they have not even talked about the fact that Kelly was very hurt about what Tiffany did at the baby shower. Like, none of that happened. So, although I love Kelly for, wanting to taste the baby breast milk and making me laugh about that, I was like, oh, they kind of have made her, they've removed her layers. That's the writer, the pseudo writer in me. Y'all know I ain't really a writer. Anyway, Issa's asking Kelly if, has Molly said anything to her, because it just feels like Molly is always coming for her. And Kelly was just like, no, she ain't really said nothing to us. Well, Issa says she calls me messy, and I'm not really trying to be messy. Like, I'm just, she is progressing in life. Kelly was like, no, girl, she ain't said nothing to me. But she said, but look at Lawrence over there. He comes into the living room or the dining room. And she was like, look at Lawrence over there looking all like a provider. So Issa gets up and she goes to talk to Lawrence outside in the little you know, in the little area outside of the apartment. So while she's out there talking, we see Molly and Tiffany, and they're basically having the same conversation that Issa and Kelly just had. You know, Molly was like, has Issa said anything to you? Because she's just been acting strange lately. You know, she's always calling me the old Molly and, you know, basically trying to call me out on everything that's going on. And look at Issa. Issa's out there doing old Issa shit, you know, basically talking to Lawrence when she know that Lawrence got a girlfriend and she worked with the girlfriend. And so she being her regular old messy self too. Tiffany was like, yeah, it's just complicated. But Molly ain't really feeling it. She's feeling some kind of way about how Issa's been treating her as well. So back to Issa. She's outside talking to Lawrence, and he says, so what's been going on? And she's like, just stressed out about this block party. I have some flyers that need to be printed up and I can't get in touch with Condola. And he was like, oh yeah, that. He wants to talk to to Issa about something. But right in the middle of him about to tell her what happened, the phone rings. Okay. And of course she answers it and she was like, what? Like, no, you can't do this. Okay, you are dead to me. You are dead to me. And it seems that Schoolboy Q has dropped out of the block party. So now she has no headliner. So she's frustrated. She's mad about that. So when she goes back over to Lawrence and he done overheard that, you know, is everything okay? No, you know, Schoolboy Q dropped out. But what was it that you were going to say? And he was like, that's okay. It can wait. But I want to know what exactly was he going to say to her? Because Condola should not be, look, you have a responsibility. It's one thing to be in a relationship. You can curve Lawrence all you want. You know, you ain't got to talk to him. You guys are in a relationship, and if it goes wrong, it just goes left, and that's fine. But when you are in a business and it's just not you and Issa. It is you and Issa and all of the block party. You got vendors, you got people coming, people that's invested their money. Like, you should not be not answering phone calls. I don't know what he could say to Issa that's gonna say, yeah, she's not calling you because she mad at me. Well, then that means that you are fucked up in your business dealings. If you're gonna be mad at somebody else and then you taking it out on the ex-girlfriend and all that, yeah, that's not right. So I wonder what he was gonna say. Was he going to broach the whole subject of him leaving just because she cheated? Or was he going to say she's not calling you because of me? Or what? Anyway, moving it on along. Issa goes back into the house and she tells the girls that she's got to go. And, you know, Molly kind of shake her head like typical Issa. Like her and Lawrence and had some sort of confrontation out there. And now she feeling moody and now she want to go. But that has nothing to do with the block. You know, what Issa's upset about has nothing to do with the block part. I mean, with Lawrence. But Molly doesn't know that. I'm sure she's just probably assuming. And Issa doesn't even spend the time to tell him what's up. She just says she got to go. So she leaves. So she goes back home and sis can't get it together. She can't even do a rap in her reflection. Her reflection ain't even cooperating with her. Sis is stressed out because she was really counting on Schoolboy Q to make it happen. So what is she going to do now? So she sit down with her social media, her Instagram. She trying to DM Beyonce. I said, girl, you might as well back on out of that. So she starts trying to reach out to people that are in LA, like DJ Mustard. Oh, I'm sorry, he just calls himself Mustard now, right? Mr. Mustard, and just a whole bunch of other people that she knows of in the area. Then it narrows down to just like some old family friends whose child supposedly was a singer or some shit, but she doesn't get anybody. So bumpkins for Issa, and it's looking like this block party is going to you know, if she don't get this headliner, she is going to feel like, you know, she just can't quite get herself together. On top of that, Condola not being there to kind of reassure her and just kind of be her cheer champion is throwing her off as well. Now we see Molly and Andrew, and they're out. Looks like a nice dinner that they're having together. And, you know, Molly is like, sorry that she's been working so hard, but you know what, baby, I'm all yours tonight. I was thinking after we leave here, you know, we go do this, that, and the other. We gonna take it back home. You know, we gonna get in them sheets. And Andrew was just like, yeah, you know, I'm actually hanging out with my boys later. And she was like, what? I thought this was date night. And he was just like, yeah, but you know, we've had date nights in the past and, you know, you've always had to go to work, basically. She was just like, but I'm here now. And we're all guilty of this, you know, kind of forgetting, putting ourselves first and realizing, and not always realizing that we are, you know, putting other person second, basically. He's just like, I'm sorry. You know, I already made those plans. The night is fucked up, okay? Nice dinner, but that's all that it was going to be. The next day, she's at work and Issa calls. Girl, I really need to talk to you. I loved Issa's, that was a swap meet, Sloss and Swap Meet sweatshirt that she had on. I was like, I want one of those. Anyway, she was like, I need to talk to you. And Molly was like, yeah, girl, I really need to talk to you too, because it's just been so crazy. And Issa was just kind of glosses over that, like, girl, I know it is. Listen, my headliner dropped out, and then she realized that there was somebody that she wanted to have perform at the block party, and they work for Live Nation or represented by Live Nation, and she actually knows somebody that works for Live Nation. So, you know, she's calling in a favor. Basically, Molly just rolls her eyes like, here we go. Like, I'm trying to talk to you and you calling me for a fucking favor, you know, as your shit falls apart over there. So Molly was like, so your artist wasn't there a contract? And she was like, yeah, it was a contract. She's like, I mean, if he signed it, well, why he ain't doing it? She said, well, because he broke it. So then Molly starts to tell her the legal parts of it and how she can try to get him to stick to this contract. And Issa was just like, yeah, I don't really have time for that. I just need to get this right. Okay, make this correct. So, you know, basically, can you do this for me? And Molly was like, yeah, I mean, I guess I can ask him. But Molly is annoyed because, one, Issa just needs something and never seems to want to talk about what the real issue is. So Molly just gets off the phone like, girl, I got to get back to work. Issa is clueless. She doesn't even realize that Molly is upset. Thanks, girl. So Molly later on goes over to Andrew's house. She's got dessert and wine, and she wants to talk about the night before. And so she tells him that, look, she's sorry about what happened. She does understand, you know, but she's never been in a relationship long enough to even be trying to discuss schedules and things like that. So, you know, it's just going to take a little minute, you know, but she does want this relationship to work. And Andrew agrees that he wants to work on it too. You know, their schedules aren't compatible, but that doesn't mean that maybe they can make it, you know, they can figure it out. I really have to say that I admire that Molly is going through all of these. She's realized, at least in the relationship department, you know, some of her flaws, and are trying to express herself. And I think Molly is doing good, you guys. So she calls Issa. And, you know, Issa was like, hey, you basically, you my best friend, go best friend. Like, girl, I knew you was gonna, you know, make it happen. Like, what did he say? And Molly was like, I didn't ask him, and I'm not going to ask him, basically, because Molly doesn't want to fuck up her relationship. She don't want to be asking for favors. She don't want to mix business with her pleasures. And not to mention, she ain't really feeling Issa these days. So yeah, she's not gonna do it. And Issa's just sort of like, oh, kind of upset that Molly's not doing it. You want to keep it separate? Yeah, Molly wants to keep all that separate. So it's a no-go there. So now Issa's back into her little slump and not knowing what she's gonna do. Okay, and then later on we see Issa again trying to get with her reflection. Okay, her reflection was like, girl, you want to talk? And she's like, no, I just want to get in the shower. And she goes and turns on the water, and the shower water is brown. I was like, ugh. I guess there's still some issues with the water there. All of Issa's shit is falling apart. All right, you guys, that's it. Let me get off of here. It's getting hot in this car, so I need to get on in the house. Some air conditioning. Make sure that you guys rate, comment, and subscribe to the channel. I'm itsrox. The channel is for itsrox. Everything else I do will be in the bottom bar. All right. So I hope that you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day, and I plan on doing the same. Till next time, rock stars. Bye.